A good day for a swell boss ranking, but it's not that swell that you had to watch my entire screen. Sorry about that, and there's no other way for me to record this. Let's not delay it, let's just jump right down to it. I don't know what that noise is, but let's see here. I was thinking of doing it from in a chronological order, but I can't find the... Oh, here he is. I think this guy is the first. I can't really remember, but either way, it's not that bad. Like, it's really not. Good introductory boss. But in the grand scheme of things, he's really small potatoes. Also, I forgot to redo this. Like, this is gonna be hell. This is hard. Medium. And easy. And for pretty much only two that I would regard as very easy, to be honest. It's this guy and let's see, this. In this order. Like, this is the easiest boss in the game. This, the least chaotic ones, if that. Let's see, this guy isn't that bad. He is a good, like, he's at the time, should we say that? I've sometimes forget how to English, but I think he's on the first island, and if he's not, then then that's even worse. Again, he's not that bad. What I really don't like about him, though, is the fact that sometimes when he hits you with the screen gets all jacked up, and it's the only boss in the game that does that and makes very little sense. I don't know why that happens. I do not. Yep, around medium. Like, I think she's the first shoot 'em up boss, as in where you have to fly. And I think that's the biggest, like, surprise. Like, oh shit, I have to be in a plane now. But it's really not that bad. I think the second form, like her last form, is probably the one where she turns into a moon. I'm listening to myself and I hear, oh yeah, this game is kind of insane. Like, they kind of morph stuff into really crazy shit. But yeah, the last form is the hardest, and it can be a little hard with the. She has a really fast attack, I think, with the Sagittarius one. Like, you have to really be careful with that, which probably isn't anymore, given how he has Miss Challenge, which shoots in 3 ways, so you can just fly above her. It's a challenge, but it's not that bad. Unlike this one. I can't really do this. It's too many things on screen, and that's gonna be the biggest. What you're gonna discover pretty fast that I dislike the most in this game. Like, I can't keep track of all that shit. And here you have to platform, and the first phase with a bunch of shit coming in from everywhere, and then she starts shooting projectiles, and you have to, like, memorize how those little triangles move and when they shoot, and so you have to avoid them. It can be a little much. If you're really quick with damage, you can skip her final phase, unless they patched it, but I don't think they have. I hear this guy's even harder if you try to, like, S rank it, which is basically playing perfect on expert. And I'm not good at his base form, so what doesn't that say about me? Now, fortunately, it's one of those fights when 90% of the clutter doesn't really matter. You only have to focus on what's in front of you. And it's very telegraphed. I'm talking specifically about his first form, or technically second. When he starts shooting feathers all over the place. It's not that hard. But I guess it depends on how used to shoot 'em up, sure. And it's not a genre I dive into, which is why this game is the hardest I personally ever beat. Yes, this is harder than Dark Souls or Bloodborne and all those. in my opinion, because in at least in those games you can grind or come back a bit later, but here it's just a battle of reflexes and memorizing the patterns, which can be very daunting. But either way, this guy, the worst thing about it is by far the last form. I still can't really do that confidently. I have seen speed runs of it. I know the tactics. I'm just not good at it. This guy isn't that bad either. The MVP is the barrel that goes back and forth. Otherwise, it's really not that bad. I remember the name of this one. Sally Stage Play. I think she belongs around here. Like she's also not that bad. If you have the, I forget the name of the charm, but the one that gives you iframes when you dash, it's really easy. I haven't tried it with Miss Chalice, but I imagine you can jump over most of the shit in the. I think it's her third phase when she turns into an angel and there are quote unquote waves. Yeah, this game is pretty neat at the very least in the art department. You can't complain about it that much. This guy isn't that bad either. It's yeah around here, maybe here. I'm not entirely sure. Like, one thing to remember about all this list, I put the word "sill" in the title for a reason because all these are just what I feel at the moment, and even then, nothing is set in stone. I'm just doing this mostly for entertainment, to give it a general idea what I think about this. And as for Werner Verman, great pun by the way, it's not that bad. Like you'll get the pattern pretty easily. He's very telegraphed, and if you can most likely just dash over him when he does a charge attack in the first phase. And the cat thing, I barely know much about because it tends to dive really quick. Quack. What was that? Good. I just take spreaders, stand under him, and aim up. And most things, if I remember correctly, will barely ever hit you. Now this guy, I cannot stand. God, so much shit on the screen. And I don't just mean in the last phase where he laughs and shoots a bunch of projectiles everywhere. There's just. It's too chaotic. Especially the first phase where you have to first destroy something on the head and you go to the chest and. I don't want to say groin because I can't really remember, but there was a hatch down there you have to destroy and everything has so much HP. It's a chore. And the second phase is just why? Couldn't you just transition to the third one? Do I really need to fly around and do those stupid hell with those bombs, by the way. They're huge. They explode immediately the moment they collide with something and can't stand that boss. It's one of the biggest walls in this game. Like I can't really do it. More of the Dr. Call. She is hard for sure. Mostly to me because the eel face and her last one where you have to navigate through like a tunnel and you have to be exact and she'll just randomly decide to freeze you and it's so fast and you can't really do much about it. Same thing with the eel face. She's like, oh, you're stunned now. Cool. The only ways to like, I think you can avoid it if you have the I think it's called coffee. I can't remember the charm that gives you iframes. But guess what Miss Chalice doesn't have? Not that fun. The first phase at the very least looks kind of funny. It's kind of fun how she picks up fishes and she goes when she drops them and she does the same thing when she gets shocked. Like it's funny the first time I guess, but after a while it's just not fun. Now this is the Phantom train, all of this. I guess I'll use this guy since it's the actual train. He's not that hard, except maybe the final one because it requires some sort of precision. Other than that, it's really not that bad. I think the first phase, as in this one, you can even shoot the projectiles he puts out. The real MVPs are the, I think they're flying skulls that brings pink bricks that hit the platform you're standing on, so you need to be mindful of it. But it's probably not that bad if you use a Miss Chalice, since her dash comes out immediately, and so you can parry a lot faster. Now this is just King Dice stuff, so where is this guy? I'm gonna find him. There he is. This is... yeah, no, not fun at all. There's just so many goddamn forms. Most of them are tolerable, except the monkey. But there's just so many of them, and you need to hit that very precise dice roll. And let me make one thing clear. I am not saying I'm good at Cuphead. In fact, I fucking suck at it. It's just to give you a little perspective where I'm coming from is all. Because I'm not good at video games. So keep in mind, imagine trying to beat this game if you're not good at video games. It's possible, but it's hell of a chore. This guy is... I would say he's the second hardest in the base game. Maybe even the hardest, depending on it, because he takes a lot longer to beat than the devil, but I'd say he's slightly harder. Spoilers, I guess. I might as well put him up right now since I talked about him. He is the hardest, to be sure. Too chaotic, a lot of stuff everywhere, and the last phase is not fun. It's a lot more manageable with Miss Chalice, but I haven't tried that yet because, please no. Since she has a double jump and there's only one platform and you have to jump out of the way to avoid a giant poker chip. In fact, I think Miss Chalice trivialized most of that fight, mostly due to a double jump, so you don't have to time a lot of stuff. But I'm trying to come from how it was. Maybe not day one, but at the very least, if you don't have the DLC. Let's see, what else do we got? Oh, this dude is technically that boss. Okay, here's the... are all the rest ones the DLC? Shouldn't it be? I'm gonna give it a quick check just in case. No, here we go. This is the... as Baroness von Bun Bun. Here we go. She is manageable, but she is probably harder than most of these things because the first form she shoots up 3, I think it is, or 2 helpers, and they're randomized, so there's a few that you may be more comfortable fighting and others not as much. And the rest is just basically a chasing scene. It's not that bad. I'm thinking of, should I put these... it's a silly tier list, it doesn't really matter. Gonna get down with the base game before I get to the DLC. This is the Jester dude, I forget his name. Doesn't really matter. He is... he's around... he's here, I'd say. Because I'm not good at that last phase when there's a bunch of shit spinning, and as I said, it's a bit too chaotic, but it's not quite as bad as the DLC. It could go to the lowest hard depending on how I feel about it. Just not one I'm super comfortable with, I suppose. Let's see, base game, Jimmy. Now this is a hard one. I say I'm putting very easy. I just put him there as a placeholder while I was looking here. I'll put him here, I'd say. Because again, it's a bit chaotic. It has many forms with a lot of HP. Takes a while to beat him. I don't think the last one is that bad, but if you're the least bit like me, then you're gonna be low on HP by that point anyway. It's not that fun. Good challenge, to be sure. Is that guy again? Oh no, not this dude. Oh, I think it's female actually. This is definitely hard because this is not something I'm good at fighting. Why? Chaos everywhere. Especially the second phase. There's just so many things to watch out for. You have to look at the keep platforming and you have to look at those little flames that jump at you. Ah, God. Hell no. Too much stuff. And now I think we're actually at the DLCs. So let's start with... I'll put this as a placeholder for all the parry bosses. I count them as one, although... like 4 forms of the same boss. Although you can fight them... like there's... the game stops, so if you die at one, you don't have to go back at the other. But it's mostly fine. I guess I'll put it here. Except the last one. I'm being a bit merciful because the first few ones aren't that bad. And this guy, it's a... like... first of all, I guess it's an original idea to have a boss that you can only beat by pairing. But I don't think it works as well as they think it does. But this one is the closest, is my favorite. I think it's my favorite out of all the other ones because it's not as chaotic as the last one, which is this, I'm pretty sure. And it was kind of funny to bounce those things back at him. Also, I just realized there's one more non-DLC. I'll talk about it in a moment. But it's not that bad, but whatever. This guy's... like, I think the big shock there is the timing of it, because I think it's on the first island and he's actually pretty difficult. So I think I'll put him here, depending on how I feel about it, I suppose. These two could go into hard, like in any order, like these three, even depending on my mood. And it's not that bad, as I said, but probably the hardest on the first island. Let's see. King dies. Ah, here we go. The first actual boss from the DLC. Spoilers, I think all of them are hard in some capacity. And this guy is... he probably here. It's not that bad, but it's the main problem of the DLC. Too much stuff. There's... take the first form, for example. You can't step on the floor, because if you do, then the little gnomes will come out and poke at you with their hats. So you can't stay still for too long. And the platforms are moving up and down. You have to keep shooting the boss, of course. And randomly there'll be a gnome that pops in the background at the bottom of it, of course. So you either have to jump down or aim down to waste even more time. And that might randomly shoot a fireball at you. Then there might be another elf that climbs the platforms you're standing on and swing at you twice. So it's relentless, but the second form isn't that bad, I suppose. But it's hard, but it's doable. Same thing with the where is it? The Moonshine Crew, I think it was, or Moonshine Club, something like that. Moonshine Mob, not you guys. I think it's this one that's second to be the one that's intended to be second. So I guess I'll use this guy. as a placement for that. The it's around here maybe. It's not that bad, I suppose. I think the hardest is that the technically second to last, but I'm just gonna call it the anteater face is very random. Like it's you can't really predict where he's gonna put his nose, and that's where he has the hitbox. The first form is also very chaotic. The second one isn't that bad once you learn how to roll. And I was looking online. I was one of the few that didn't think that the boss died at the end. I kept shooting. It didn't, but unfortunately, I didn't kill it on my first try because I just kept shooting upwards, and his projectile hit me a little faster than my last shot came out. So oops. It's a unnecessary, but at the very least they didn't hide another long ass face behind it, so it's not that bad. Just the developers being assholes. Now this one, I'll admit I'm not gonna rank because I haven't tried it, but because I don't want to start that long ass side quest. But it doesn't seem to be that bad. But this is the only one I'm not gonna rank. Let's see. These are the Perry Knights, I guess you could call them. And this is the completely forget his name, but he's not that bad. High medium probably. The last phase isn't that bad, and the I think the second one is the worst because he has two attacks where he either rolls or jumps that comes out really fast, and there's no real way to avoid it. When he turns into a fridge, you can just walk up to him and shoot him for a bit and be mindful. But of course, there's just random projectiles coming in from nowhere that doesn't really have anything to do with it, because when he turns into a fridge, I guess he shoots out random vegetables too. God, this game sometimes. Can't say they're not creative. And by the way, in case you don't know what I mean with start the side quest, you can. It's technically not a side quest, but you can get a powerful charm by starting this boss and then beating every boss with it equipped, which means you need to fight all the DLC bosses with only one life and random weapons. So no thank you, because this is hell, and here is one of my least favorite bosses in the entire game. This is so I don't like this boss, straight up. It takes forever to beat, and the last phase can go to hell, to put it mildly. I don't want you to destroy my controls while you're at it. Not only that, but controlling the plane you're standing on is... Ugh, it's just so many things to keep track of. Not only all the projectiles everywhere and shooting the boss, but how I'm standing on the goddamn platform. And then there's little dogs that shoots the letter B-O-W at me. Ugh, God. And all those antennas that shoot lasers. No, thank you. Hard pass. What else? And this one is pretty much the same, I'd say. Like maybe here, something like that. Maybe, yeah, somewhere around here. Like the biggest problem for me is the last phase, where it shoots a two long ass threads of goddamn sausages and shoots a bunch of chili peppers, I guess. And it's hard to navigate. And the phase before that, she shoots a bunch of beefs, and there's random ass, again, sausages that come out of cans that you have to watch out for. It's too much shit. All of this. Though I will say she has the funniest face transition in the entire game. The first time I saw when she... The first face is when she's in the house. The second one she comes out of it. And the... In case you don't know what the other one is, I'm not gonna spoil it right here, but... that was a good laugh. I didn't expect it, but goddamn, that was funny. And am I done with pretty much everything? Just going through all of them again. Yes. The only one here left is this guy. And it is by far the hardest boss. Like, most of these in this tier can be tolerable in comparison. This guy has an extreme amount of HP. He has so many phases. One of which can't really be hurried that much because you have to shoot the... What do they call the salt and peppers into him? And there's projectiles everywhere. It wouldn't be that bad at the first phase if he didn't start out by the way he creates his projectiles is chopping the food. So you'd think he'd, like, at first there wouldn't be any, but no, like, he has some prepared at the start of the fight and he just shoves them away. And which ones? Randomized. Jesus Christ, that there's just too much stuff is the boss, pretty much. It's the only one that I would say is very much anti-farm. Most, like, once again, I suck at Cuphead. I've died to all these bosses multiple times. But even the hard ones, like here, they're fun, most of them. Because they're creative, but this here is the only time where I think they went way too far with the difficulty. Because I want to look at the backgrounds and, like, admire it, because looking at this fight is awesome. Like, it's so well done animation. Actually Disney tier. But goddamn, yeah, it's too hard. Like, I'd say, if you'd ask me, should I get the DLC? I'd say maybe. Had it not been for that boss. Because now it's like, probably not, but you guys are probably better at Cuphead than I am. So I'd say, yeah, maybe, like, the DLC isn't expensive at the very least. In the end, I'd say, yeah, sure, you can try. Just know what you're in for. Most of them are really difficult. Which, to be fair, I expected. Just not this bad. I expected the last one to be up there with the devil, not surpass him in every aspect. I think his last phase is extra hard if you're using Mugman and Cuphead too, because at least Miss Chalice can double jump. And yeah, they probably had Miss Chalice in mind when they made that boss, but too much. Do I hope we'll get more DLC of Cuphead 2? Absolutely. Because this game is just... Sure, it's extremely hard, but it's a masochistic relationship. Like, I don't mind it killing me that much most of the time. Yes, it's very draining for me, but the entire game is extremely well done in both graphic and sound. The controls can be a little iffy sometimes, but they're mostly fine, and the weapons are fun to use. Like, all in all, great time with this game. Just way too hard. Thank you so much for watching. And I don't know what I'll rank next, but I'll think of something.